Green's YouTube Captain Machine here, back for a video. And I have a week off work starting from today, so I'm going to start working on some content for the channel again from tomorrow. Try and get in some kind of rhythm and routine with regards to what I'm doing, but until then, I've still got the iPad. I can still have conversations to do about various aspects of the hobby. And this is mainly directed towards RPGs, but there is other things attached to it like card games, war games, such and so forth. And it's my changing philosophy and of buying product. And it used to be, back in the good old days when I was in my 20s, I would like, end of every payday, I'd draw £200, which is, I think is, at the time was about $300, maybe $350. Take a train to Sheffield, which is the nearest city near here, and we'd go to all the geek shops there, buying DVDs, manga, RPGs, war game models, everything. And it was a lot of fun, and I remember those days fondly. However, as those of you who paid attention to time recently will know, I have moved house. I'm no longer in my parents' home anymore. I am now independent, got my own place, quite enjoying it, and as such my cost of living has skyrocketed. So my budget for gaming is at the moment zero, and hopefully, if everything works out according to plan, by the end of the year it will be back to what it was a year or so ago, which is, a little bit, but enough to buy like a book or two a month, or some models or whatever, and attend the occasional convention show. However, it's made me think about how I view both purchasing products and brand loyalty. Because back in the day when I spent umpteen money on books and cards and such and so forth, I kept, well, not me personally, but I was one of the people that kept product lines alive. The reason why Splat books came out every month for Vampire and every month for Werewolf the Apocalypse, and was because of people like me, because I would buy them religiously, which is why I've got a complete Werewolf the Apocalypse collection. It's also why I've got a complete Ravenloft collection when they started bringing those out monthly. It's why I used to have a complete MechWarrior collection, at least circa 2000. Because getting the really early stuff in was insanely impossible, but all the new stuff, yeah, definitely. And a lot of other game lines included. And I thought for a time I was going to do the same with the Warhammer 40,000 stuff, but more on that later, because 40k is not doing it for me as it used to anymore, but that's a different video for now. However, as I was going back to the original topic, it's led me to re-examine how I buy products. It used to be that I would buy a core rule book, then I'd buy Splat book after Splat book after Splat book, or source books, or options books, or anything like that. I mean, it's why I bought so many D&D stuff was for all the options it gave me, both as a player and as a GM. And at the time I didn't begrudge it, although now I'm looking at thinking to myself, I don't need all this. In fact, I've realised to myself I didn't need a lot of it, even back in the day, because a lot of the stuff that, like for example, if I wanted a spell to do something, I'd go start looking through books, try and find the official spell, and it's like, just make one up. Granted, it may not be as balanced as everything else, but just make one up. It does. If the effect you're looking for is X, rather than spend like an hour looking through books to try and find a spell that does X, just make up a spell that does X. And that leads me to, I've probably said that 2 or 3 times now already, the idea that my philosophy in buying games has changed considerably. And the fact is that I want to buy complete games in book now. And if I really, really enjoy it, I will buy a little bit of supplementary material. However, I will not buy a lot of it. And it's going to be hard to do that. Really hard. But it should be worth it. It should be any good game worth its salt that's written properly should be playable out of the box or the book or whatever. And not only should it be playable, but you should have enough options to continually keep replaying it at least for a year. I should be able to crank out at least a half dozen characters if I'm playing it or running it, God knows how many NPCs, before I start repeating myself. And there are some games out there that aren't written that way anymore. And they're written with the intention you have to buy supplementary material to get the complete experience. White Wolf in the old days, or White Wolf, were atrocious for doing this. Because what they would do is they would write all the background material, all the options, all the spells, all the abilities, all blah 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 blah, and then they would cram in on top of that the World of Darkness system, and then they realise they run out of space, and then what they'd do is they'd take like that 50 or so pages of run out of space for, and then expand upon it 2 or 3 times more so and sell it as a compendium, and tell you that it's all the stuff that was missing from the rulebook. It's like, that's a stupid business model. That's like saying, you know that $40, that $50, $70 book you just bought? Yeah, that's not the complete works. The complete works is also contained with this other $30 book. And it's like, go away. It should lead me more towards the indie scene. I've started looking into D101 games, primarily because one of my friends is a writer for them. And amongst other things, I think he's a part of one of the publishing staff as well. And I've bought a couple of his books, and I've really, really enjoyed them so far. And I'm going to try other indie games as well, because, while granted, it's nice to play a big budget stuff like Pathfinder, and Pathfinder I'm loving to bits, and 40k, which maybe I'm not so much anymore, and other games like that. I'm also liking the idea of playing something outside of the box, something that's a little bit weird. And typically what you tend to find indie games is if they have supplementary material, which is incredibly rare, there's like 1, maybe 2 books in total. Like, for example, Don't Rest Your Head is a fantastic RPG for short-term campaigns or single one-off events. However, when it comes to supplementary material, they've only released 1 book, which is Don't Lose Your Head. And while you could argue that you need that book, you don't, but it's best if you have it. But that's literally it. That's the entire game. 2 books. To my knowledge, they have no intention of bringing anything more out. So you can buy into that line very easily at a very low cost margin, even with the supplementary material included. And neither book is particularly big. Then you've got things like Savage Worlds. I mean, the basic rulebook is not only tiny, but it's cheap. And you can buy a single add-on book to that, like say Deadlands or Sundered Skies or Frostborn or whatever, you know what I mean? Hellfrost, that's it. And you can pretty much run that out of the book ad nauseum because it's such a flexible system. In fact, in a lot of cases, like things like Ripper, Tales of Solomon Kane, I think it's Seven Seas or Seventh Seas or something like that, whatever. I can't remember what the pirate one's called. There is only 1 book being published for it, so there's nothing else to get. But there's enough there to keep you going. And it also feeds into my idea that not every campaign needs to be an epic 20th level adventure. Sometimes it's just for 3 weeks, or for 4 weeks, or for a month, or 2 months, or 4 months, or just enough to tell a story. And I'll talk more about short-term campaigns in the future because I think it's a topic worth discussing. But that's my philosophy. I'm going to go back to my collection. I'm going to trim the crap out of it. So I expect to see an eBay video of it at some point in the future. Because I want to have the core rulebook and enough supplementary material to run it to ad nauseum. Which probably means I'm going to get rid of a lot of Werewolf stuff. Because when I get my hands on the 20th anniversary book, there's going to be so much material in there, I'm not going to need it all. And a lot of material I've never used, even when I ran the game. So, I'm going to apply that across the board. I think the only exception to that is going to be Ravenloft, because I can't part with any of it. Thanks for your time, guys. I've probably rambled a bit too much. See you later.